What's up everyone, Roskill here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Object 279. I've played enough games in it now, I think, to come up with a judgment for this tank, whether it's good, whether it's bad, all that good stuff. And I'm also going to be comparing it with the IS-7, which is another gift Russian 8.3 heavy tank. So let's get right into this look on the Object 279. So the Object 279, when you first look at it, you think of a UFO, most likely, or you just think it's weird. Now, right off the bat, this tank was designed to survive a nuclear environment, hence why it looks so weird. So some pretty strange ideas when it came to how a tank would survive a nuclear environment were put into this tank. For example, the tracks are not even next to the hull is up here, the tracks are underneath the hull. So that's one weak spot gone already. But anyway, let's get into the review of the tank in the game. So we're going to go on the stat card first. It's a rank 6 tank, about rating 8.3, same as the IS-7. It's got a 130mm M65 cannon, but for all intents and purposes it's basically the same gun as the IS-7. 14.5mm machine gun, so this thing, if you end up having to fight a very lightly skinned vehicle, lightly armoured vehicle, that 14.5 is going to kick their ass. Its turret rotation speed, bear in mind this is expert crew, 16.8 degrees a second. Vertical guidance, typical Russian gun depression of -5 degrees, plus 17 degrees. So you can work with it, but don't try and crest any big hills with it. I mean, it's a tall tank, so you can probably crest some small ones, but big ones, no, don't even bother. You won't. However, one of the things that this has over the IS-7 is its reload rate. Now, if we go to the IS-7, this has a reload rate of 10 seconds, and that's because it's an automatic loading system, assisted load, or whatever you want to call it. The reload can't be changed from 10 seconds due to here. Automatic loading, as you see there. The reload can't be changed. However, on the Object 279, it's not an automatic loader. It's a manual, which means it can be changed. And the top loading speed, if we go to crew real quick, the top loading speed, you can get this down to 8.6 seconds for a 130mm. Now, I'm assuming it's an assisted loading mechanism here and not an automatic loader, because if it was automatic loading you wouldn't be able to change it, whereas in this you can. So I'm assuming it is assisted. So that's the only explanation I can come up with, even though it does say automatic loader there. Anyway, so the hull armor, 120mm at the front, 80 at the sides, and 5 at the rear. That's bullshit. The turret armor, 250 at the front, 30 at the sides, 30 at the rear. That's bullshit as well. The entire armor profile in the stats card is completely broken. Do not listen to it. It's wrong. Now, armor penetration, same as the IS-7, 312 at point blank. This is in millimeters, of course. 312 at point blank, 294 at 500 meters, and let's just say it has a lot of pen at all ranges for an APHE round. This is the strongest APHE round in the game that this has. Same with the IS-7. It has a crew of 4 though, whereas the IS-7 has a crew of 5. So the IS-7 has that over the Object 279. The Object 279 weighs 60 tons. The IS-7 weighs 68 tons. The engine power, however, is different. The IS-7 is different as well. The IS-7 has a 1050 horsepower engine, whereas the Object 279 only has a 1000 horsepower engine. However, because the Object 279 weighs about 8 tons less, it can get up to its top speed pretty quickly. If you're on a flat road surface, of course. If you're on dirt, you're never going to go up to that top speed. It's a heavy tank. Its visibility is, of course, higher. Only slightly though. But its visibility is higher just because it's taller. It's a taller tank. But again, visibility in the stat card means fuck all. But let's move on to the armor profile, and here's why the stat card is bullshit. We're just going to ignore this structural steel here, because this is not the armor. I mean, it can protect against HE rounds, maybe some heat rounds, maybe Hesh. It probably protects against Hesh. I haven't tried it against Hesh yet. I haven't had a game where I've been shot at with Hesh. At least I don't think I have. I might not have even noticed. But anyway, let's get rid of the external armor so we can actually look at the proper armor of this tank. And as you can see here, straight away you can see how much the stat card is wrong in this, because it's a variable thickness cast armor hull, which means there is almost no way to tell what the raw thickness of this armor is at every point, because it's variable thickness. So yes, while it will say 300mm there, this could very well be like 60mm of armor, which means anything that's a 120 will just go straight through here because it'll overmatch it. Anything with a 120 and up, who knows? We don't know. I've had instances in this tank where it's just for some reason, I mean, I think I've got a lot of armor on the front and I think I can take the shot, only to find out that I just get low penned. It's a weird tank. It's sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the front armor is for a heavy tank at 8.3. It's very strong. It's comparable with the IS-7, because if we go to the IS-7 when you can't angle the thing, this is the best angle I think I'm going to get. Yeah, hang on. Let me lower my mouse's DPM so I can actually get this right. There we go. It has around about 350mm of armor right at the pike nose, where most people would probably aim at this thing. So it's around the same thickness, really. If you consider the increased angle on the hull, it is around the same effective protection on the hull. However, let's go to the IS-7 again. On the turret is a weak spot on the IS-7. Really, it's quite weak compared to the hull. Yeah, not on the Object 279. The Object 279's front turret, it's like fighting a T-72 at 8.3. You are not going to get through that turret, most likely. Not unless you hit it bang on one of the flat pieces, like here. This is the flat part here, but as you can see there, it's so troll still. If you miss that flat part by even a little bit, all of a sudden you're aiming at 462mm of armor effective thickness. And this part here as well, funnily enough, it does protect the commander's hatch slightly. So if you're thinking of going for the commander's hatch on this thing, where it's only about 150, well, look at that, that is really low. Yeah, good luck with that, because you got to get through this or avoid that, which is really hard to do. But if we look right by the gun, it does have another I don't even know. It does, see, this is the problem with variable thickness armor. You can't tell how thick it is. Gaijin, can we have something that allows us to tell how thick it is? It's so annoying. But you have more armor here. Let's just say you have more armor here on top of that. So if you're aiming at this tank and you aim here, you're not going to go through. You really will not go through this tank then. You might have a chance. Because if you hit here, you might have a chance of going straight through that machine gun and hitting the crew inside. But you aim here, you got no chance. It's completely the opposite of most Russian high tier tanks. Whereas most high tier Russian tanks, if you aim round where their gun is, you'll kill it, most likely. This one you won't. The side turret armor as well, or the side armor in general on the Object 279 is ridiculously strong still on the turret. So don't aim at the turret when you're side on, well, when you see this thing side on, because you most likely will not pen unless you're in low pen Leopard A1A1 L44 or the Leopard A1A1 standard. Those two tanks have been my nemesis in this. Every time I've been penned non-stop by them. They just go through. I mean, the KPZ-70 and the MBT-70s, they don't do anything to me half the time. They'll bounce, shit themselves, then run behind their little cover. Leopards though, not the first Leopard, but the others. Oh god. I avoid them like the plague. Unfortunately, they're also everywhere, so you see them constantly. But yeah, don't aim at the turret on the side here, unless you're one of those tanks. The hull is quite troll as well. If you aim at any of the sloped areas on the hull, you don't deserve it to go through, because there's a very flat area to shoot right here. Go for there. If you're going to aim at the 279 from the side, you go for this little area here. Aim around the center, so that to guarantee that you'll penetrate, because if you aim around here, suddenly you're going up against 300mm of armor again, because of it being rounded in shape. So really, on the side, if you're a low penning tank and you don't have heat, the only spot you're even going to have a chance of killing this tank is here. Now you may think, oh yeah, well, why don't I just aim here? Well, I'll get to that in a moment. Now let's go to the rear of this armor. Now if you're a HE spammer, or you like bringing your 1.7, 2.7 HE lobbing tanks into the top tiers, as I found out the other day when I had a Swedish, the new Swedish 150 howitzer tank. I had someone come up on me on Abandoned Factory, and if you're watching this video, this is why you didn't kill me. 60mm on the rear, 130 odd millimeters on the rear of the turret, and if it hits down onto the roof, that's 20mm on the roof, and what's going to absorb that HE round will be this engine. And if you shoot at the rear and somehow manage to pen, it'll probably be an APHE round. If it was a KV2, you're gonna get your APHE round absorbed by the engine and the transmission. It's a Russian engine and transmission. It will just absorb your shots. Do not even bother trying to kill this thing with HE lobbers. At least not actually. Don't aim here. Don't aim here. Do not aim anywhere on this tank. Then again, actually, there is a spot there that's only 30mm. You could try aiming underneath the gun. It's a long shot, considering the caliber of the gun that you'll be firing, and it's very unlikely that you'll be able to get it underneath this gun. But if you manage to get that right there with the HE, it'd probably go down and kill that driver. Possibly. No, but honestly, if you're going to use a HE lobber, I suggest aiming here. You aim here, because you've got a hope then. Or just aim here or here, anywhere where these flat parts are, because then you can hope that it will then bounce into the roof of the turret. And if I angle it down, as you can see there, the roof of the turret is not very strong. So, or at least it's not strong enough to stop a 150mm HE round or above. So if you aim here, most likely you'll go through. There is only one real, well, there's a couple, but I'll just give this example. British HE lobbers, though, because they're HESH, not HE, they will go through you, and they will absolutely wreck you. So if you see one of them, avoid them. The FE4005, definitely avoid it. Now, what we're going to look at now as well is underneath. And underneath, well, if you're a HE lobber that loves to hit people underneath their tanks, well, the Object 279 is going to absolutely hate you. However, you have to get the shot perfect. And when I say perfect, what you have to do is, you have to aim it right in between these tracks, and make sure it lands right there in the center, underneath the hull, in between these tracks. Good luck with that with a HE round. If you can pull that off, well done. You are a master at this game. Anyway, let's look at the X-ray view now, and first of all, I'll show why you can't kill the tank here. And this is why, these fuel tanks here. Now, if he has a fire extinguisher, and you aim here, all that's going to happen, I'll tell you what's going to happen, this fuel tank will just absorb your entire shot. He'll be set on fire, but other than that, he'll be perfectly fine. What will he do then? I'll tell you what he'll do then. He'll then turn his turret to you and shoot you. So don't aim here, because it's pointless, because if he has not been set on fire twice already, he'll just turn his gun round at you and kill you, because you're just a nuisance to him. I've had it happen multiple times. Well, testing his tank out. I've had people shoot here because they can pen, only for the fuel tank to absorb their shot. And bear in mind, even if your round did penetrate the fuel tank, there's nothing under there. So your round is just going to go straight underneath the tank and do nothing. So let's look more at the X-ray. So the driver obviously is at the front in the centre of the tank. You've got the gunner and the commander on the right side when you're looking at the tank, and you've got the loader on the left side when you're looking at the tank. The cannon breech is huge in this turret. It is taking up at least a third of the turret space in here, if not more. The ammunition is right behind the cannon breech. Coincidentally enough though, of course, because it's right behind the cannon breech, the ammunition is going to be very hard to get to. Because, let me look at it this way. Your gunner and your commander are meat shields, and by the time it reaches that ammunition, it's probably not going to have enough explosive left in it. And your loader is a meat shield as well. So it's not going to have enough, of course, unless you load full ammo, in which case you're an idiot. Because if you load full ammo, you have all this ammo here, right next to the loader. So yeah, that loader must be shitting bricks if you load full ammo in this thing. If you load full ammo as well, of course, you're going to have all the casings here, and this thing is going to become it's going to become a driving death trap essentially. But honestly, I'd say load, because it's 13 rounds here. And any more rounds in this tank, I've noticed, are loaded around here at first. So, I load around 20 rounds in this tank. 20 rounds seem to be enough in the Object 279. I mean, anything you hit most of the time is going to get wrecked. It's only the one-offs, you know, the ones where it bounces for no reason because the tank decides to troll you instead of the enemy. But moving back onto the X-ray, so we have the engine, of course, at the rear, the UTMZ 2DG8M, and then you have the transmission behind it. It has a good top speed of 34 miles an hour, but its backward speed, its reverse speed is very good as well. It's 11.2 miles an hour, allowing you to reverse back into cover after taking your shot very quickly. And it really doesn't take a lot of time to change gears in this tank. You can be going forward and all of a sudden just press the stop button and you're going backwards. It's a very manoeuvrable heavy tank, just like the IS-7. However, I think the IS-7 does have the advantage when it comes to ammo spacage. Like if you were to load full ammo in both tanks, the IS-7 would definitely have more survivability than the Object 279, but it's understandable because the Object 279 is a much more cramped tank than the IS-7. So if we now go to the modifications, it gets the BR-412B round, which I do believe is the same round that the IS-7 gets. Yep, the exact same round. So if we move back to the Object 279 now, so of course this is in millimeters, and as before with the last review with my Tiger, I'm going to be doing it the same way. So the first number is 0 degrees, the second is 30, and the third is 60 degrees. So 312, 251, 107, 309, 248, 106, 294, 236, 101, 277, 222, 95, 260, 209, 89, 245, 197 and 84. Of course, that was going from 10 meters range all the way up to 2,000 meters range. And this thing does get. Now we'll go into the modifications. Now I'll stop skipping ahead. I was about to skip ahead. I need to stop that. Right. So tracks, parts, and horizontal turret drive, of course, on the first layer, on the first tier here. The suspension brake system, fire protection equipment, adjustment of fire on the second tier, the filters, crew replenishment, elevation, gun mechanism on the third tier, transmission, engine, smoke, rangefinder, and night vision on the fourth tier. Now what's interesting is this is the ESS, engine smoke generating system. So basically, instead of it being smoke grenades, you're generating a huge smoke field from the engine itself. So it's very good if you're pushing up. and your team are behind you, but they're too cowardly to actually come out and help you. Because we know what War Thunder players are like in this game. No offense to anyone who does that. We know that you want to put your survivability above everyone else's. But it does negate team play a little bit when you think that way. You deploy the engine smoke system, and suddenly your allies, you'll find, are actually willing to come out then, because they know that they have a much better chance of survival. So, do I think that this tank is good? It's an interesting question, because when I first got this tank, I'll be honest, I fucking hated it. I thought it was a piece of shit when I first got it. And you might think that way too. Bear in mind, I was playing this tank stock. I played this tank stock. And let me tell you, it's fucking awful stock. It's absolutely awful. At least in terms of the mobility. It's not bad for a heavy tank mobility, but it's not what you expect. The only thing that really kept me playing this tank was the gun. This 130mm with that increased reload is devastating to the enemy team. It is absolutely devastating. This reload, honestly, it's what makes this tank, in my opinion. Because it just allows you to be as versatile, once you're fully upgraded of course, it allows you to be as versatile as a medium tank, or an MBT, but in a heavy tank with a lot of armour. So, it's... would it be overpowered at 8.3? I don't think so, no. It depends on when you bring this tank out. Because if you bring this tank out straight away, say your bottom tier, you're going to get absolutely destroyed. Because... unless, of course, you're very lucky. Because this tank, its armour becomes meaningless when it's bottom tier. Because it's just up against low pen Leopard A1A1 L44s and A1A1s. So when it's bottom tier, it's useless. But when it's top tier, this thing is an absolute menace. Well, at least I'd assume it is, because I've not actually had a top tier game. I've had one top tier game. And my team were too good, I couldn't do anything. By the time I got to the fight every time, my team had already pushed up and killed everything. But it seems that 8.3 top tiers are non-existent. Don't bother. You're never going to get top tier in an 8.3 game. You'll get 8.7, but never 8.3. Not unless I've just got very unlucky playing this tank. But I think that will do it really. Oh, yeah, there's one more thing. Very important. This is just like the T95, whereas it has 4 tracks. You can't actually move even when just one of the tracks are blown off, which is quite annoying. But, oh, and also I might as well mention this as well. I mean, I thought it was pretty obvious anyway, but don't bother aiming here. You know, you're not going to pen this area here. You'll never pen it. But, now that that's done, let's get in some games and see how it performs. So in this first game, we're on Abandoned Factory. My Object 279 at this point was pretty much stock, aside from parts and FPE. And we are in an 8.7 match, I do believe. Yeah, because there's only been one match that I got top tier in and they didn't really go that well. My team just blitzed ahead of me. Anyway, moving up now towards the factory area, the A point. The enemy team has done the exact same, and immediately we start to suffer heavy losses. One alloy after another goes down until it's just me left standing. And suddenly things are looking quite bleak, and I look like I'm going to be in deep shit. There's 3 Leopard ones, a Begleit Panzer, hope I'm saying that right, And here I am pretty much on my own now. And Leopard 1 coming around the corner. Doesn't notice I'm here. And he pays the price for it. Like Light Panzer, however, does know I'm here. Probably about to get his ATGM off there, but I cut him short. M48A2C round the corner. And here we're seeing just the fantastic gunplay from this 130mm. One kill after another, no problem. Leopard 1, thanks to the fantastic reload on this gun, easily able to dispatch him as well. Down he goes. I do apologise for this FPS stuttering. I don't know what the hell is going on today. My computer just seems to be having a fit. I'm back up now. A bit worried about going round the corner anymore when that is literally where the enemy come from. So I decided to reverse back up and get into a more defensible position. Of course, bear in mind all this is realistic, so I don't notice that auto blinde there. I'm very glad he didn't notice me, because that would have cut this game short. And in front of us we see an M48A2 GA2 moving up now. I decide to sit in wait. Essentially an ambush, wait for him, hope that he doesn't notice me. And unfortunately, he doesn't notice me. Well, unfortunate for him anyway, very fortunate for me. And any moment now, down he goes. Another tank down. Now I don't know what that Leopard 1 there was doing. However, I do know he was firing heat. And so, because he was firing heat, he paid the price. And that right there is why I do not fire heat unless I have to. Because it's things like that wall which screw you over when you're firing heat. And this game now is pretty much over. Our team is moving into their spawn. They have players of theirs in the air, but each player in the air is one less player on the ground, and so it's making it even more difficult for their team to try and get a foothold back in the game. And now we are capturing the A point, and it's only a matter of time now before the game ends. And I would end the recording here and move on to the next, but there is one little bit left that I would like to show on the Object 279. So we're moving up now towards the enemy spawn. Might as well at this point. I mean, the rest of our team is already there. So, yes, and this was me having a bit of a brain fart, thinking that my tank was thin enough where it could go between this wall and that wall. Yeah, this tank is a wide tank. Don't expect it to be able to get in any tight spaces. And here we go, the BF-19 drops a bomb. But all it does is blow the tracks off and set me on fire. The Object 279 was designed to survive in a nuclear environment. I don't think a 250 kilogram bomb, unless it drops directly underneath the tank, is going to kill it. It's the BF-19 tank. And so, that pretty much concludes this game. Nothing else really happened in this one. Let's move on to the next. In this next game, we're on White Rock Fortress. It's an 8.7 game. You'll notice a lot with the Object 279 that you'll most of the time be in an 8.7 game. Well, it's either an 8.7 or a 9.0 game you'll be in most of the time. You'll never ever really be in a 9.3 or an 8.3 game. It's more of a, tends to be a middle. It tends to be a middle battle range tank. It's never the big one, or it's never the worst one. It's always around the middle. Now, I was debating to myself whether to play this game or another game that I had as well, but I do believe this game really shows the tank a lot better. It shows what the tank can do much more. And I really do think I need to upgrade my graphics card drivers on my card, because it is stuttering quite a bit at the moment and I don't know why. That's really the only explanation I can come up with. But anyway, back to the game. Moving up with this M901, who has just got stuck on that hill. I don't know whether he was repairing before that or whether the track is like broken. Well, the hill has like broken his track or something. But as you can see there, the Object 279 having no difficulty getting up that steep slope. It's one good thing about this tank. This tank has no trouble with steep slopes. You'd think it would, because you'd think it'd be quite top heavy, but no. It's quite good for me, surprisingly. And as you can see there on the ledge, Stritz 1030, who probably saw my gun sticking out over the hill. There's also a Leopard 1 over there with him as well. And so to this point, I'm trying to tell that M901 that there are two enemy tanks there. I'm trying to hide my gun now, hoping that he didn't see it, but most likely he did. As you can see there, Stritz 103 is now moving up, believing that he is safe enough to do so, which, to be quite honest, is correct in that I wasn't going to move up. I was too worried about what else could be there, and I was correct to not move up, because here comes the Leopard 1, who's on a very, very precarious angle for him. Must be a fully upgraded Leopard 1 for him to be able to do that without sliding down. But he knows that I'm here. Or he's aiming at the M901, it's one of us. I believe he's aiming at the M901. And this is where the Russian gun depression comes into play. The terrible Russian gun depression. Now, any other tank I'd probably be able to just move a little bit further forwards and shoot him, but with this tank I cannot. There's the gun depression, but I decided to move forward anyway, take the risk, and the risk paid off because he wasn't even looking in my direction when I moved forward. And now it's just a Stritz 1030. I decided to move up on him as well. He panic fires, he bounces. I fire at him, I bounce off his upper plate but go straight into his gun, rendering him useless. He reverses, knowing now that he is in deep, deep shit. Reversing, trying to get away from my Object 279, but the Object 279 is too fast. Bear in mind at this point my Object 279 was pretty much fully upgraded. Only a few minor upgrades still left to get, so my engine was fully upgraded at this point. And now we get to see the Object 279 with its max mobility, and the Stritz 103 decides he is done. There's no reason to even bother carrying on living, and he ejects. So I decided to move around this corner. See if we can get any shots on any enemy tanks here. And I see that Stritzel, thinking it's still alive. However, I'm having a bit of a dirt moment here. I thought it was still alive when it wasn't. I'll fire my machine guns out to check. No, it's not. And notice on the map, the M901 that was behind me before has died. And we just got shot at from behind. And so, I decided to start reversing. I can't exactly turn around. Any enemy could appear in front of me at any moment. So I must keep my front pointing in that direction. And the FPS is really stuttering on this map. I really need to sort out my graphics card. And our tank decided to phase through the floor for a moment there. Thank you again, once again, Gaijin, for the amazing replay system. And so backing up. As you can see there is an enemy BMP-1 behind us. I have not noticed him yet. I'm very glad he didn't notice me, because he would have ruined this game. Incoming friendly bombers. And there, I noticed the BMP-1 finally. He has not noticed me. Most likely too busy preparing to spawn camp people. Doing it in the middle of a game, mate. Scum. And you deserve that death. So there, down goes the BMP. Serves him right for trying to spawn camp in the middle of a game. I mean, it's okay if it's the end of the game and your team is right next to the spawn. But the game wasn't over yet. We're still alive, we're still fighting. We still have tanks, including me, not at our spawn. And so I decided to move up in this direction, back towards the spawn to check if there are any other enemy tanks there. I don't see any. So I decided to start climbing this hill here. No enemy tanks in sight. Suddenly the battlefield seems very, very quiet. However, there are two enemy tanks there, as you can see, also near our spawn now. However, our friendly light tank is about to show them the error of their ways. BMP-2 kills the Leopard 1, and the Su-6 kills the Centauro. And so down they go. So now our spawn once again is clear. However, it is really now only me and the BMP-2 still versing at least. Let's just check real quick. There's still 2 enemy players left at the moment, that only those that are detected, but there are still 3 more that are not detected, still moving around on the battlefield. So we are up against it now. But we have 2 friendly planes with us as well. But really, once they've dropped their bombs, they're pretty much useless. And it probably would have been better if they were in tanks at this point. And there you can see the Object 279 climbing over terrain like nobody's business. No rock is going to stop the Object 279. Well, unless the rock's bigger than the Object 279, but then it's a boulder and not a rock. But any moment now, potential game ruiner. Enemy bomber drops bomb directly on us and kills us. However, I will not let him ruin this game, and so I decide to bring out a backup Object 279. Mainly because he pissed me off. I hate bombers. I hate Cass. Because in my opinion, it just... I mean, I can understand just standard Cass, but revenge Cass, it drives me up the wall. And that wasn't necessarily revenge Cass. And he is very angry that we have got a backup vehicle out. He's trying to take us out, but unfortunately for him, we're in an Object 279. The Object 279 does not care about your machine guns and your cannons. Unless, of course, you're a Ho 229, that thing would probably absolutely destroy this thing. But it does not care about the SM92's cannons. We do not care. You can't do anything to us. All you do is slightly damage the transmission. And so I decided to back up here to screw up his aim and make him aim at the strongest points on the tank. And it worked, and he misses his shot. And any moment now, he'll get karma happen to him. And as we move up now, and there we go, karma has struck and down he goes. But straight after that, BMP2 is taken out by a Begleitpanzer. And of course, because I've seen where that shot's come from, I do expect the Begleitpanzer to come round the right. However, the Begleitpanzer does not do that. The Begleitpanzer is going off to the left. Now, he doesn't see me here, and I don't see him. And so I move off to the right here, preparing an ambush to lie in wait for this Begleitpanzer. Funnily enough, though, the Begleitpanzer is actually doing the exact same thing, but on the left side. And so I decided to take this time to repair my vehicle of the slight damage it has suffered. Only to then realise A is being capped. I think it's the Begleitpanzer. And so, rather than rushing into A, which is what they would expect, I decide there's plenty of time even if they do cap. So, I decide to lie in wait and again prepare an ambush, but this time for anyone who comes out of A. And it kills two birds with one stone. While I'm preparing, lying in wait for an ambush, I'm also waiting for my ally to come back and help me. The one that was in the BMP2, he is still alive and he is rushing back in another light tank right now as we speak. And so I sit here lying in wait, waiting for an enemy to dare to come out of their zone. Come out at the A point. And here we go. Funnily enough, it's the one that bombed me. He's rushing now in an OF-40. Here he comes, doesn't even pay attention to his left side, and he pays the price for it. Down he goes, ammunition exploded, instant death. However, there's a strict 1030 on my right. Luckily, he wasn't able to shoot me. And this OF-40 he decides to sit there and doesn't respawn quick enough, therefore I crash into him. Not able to turn fast enough, thanks to the lack of neutral steering. Why does this thing have a lack of neutral steering? I don't like that. Now, as I move up, the Begleitpanzer fires and kills the Object 906, the backup I had, lying in wait in an ambush on top of the castle there. And there we get to see the fantastic armour of the Object 279 side turret, and he still bounced. And now I realise I must cap or we lose this game. And so, hoping that the Strix 103 is not able to aim in time, I rush into the cap, and I was correct in that assumption. The Strix 103 could not aim in time. Now what to do about this Begleitpanzer? I decide to rush around. He fires an ATGM at me. However, the ATGM hits me in the fuel tanks underneath. And of course, the fuel tanks absorb the entire shot and I only get set on fire. And so I am now still alive. the lone defender of A at this point. I have an M48 coming towards me. I have many enemy tanks coming towards me. And at the moment, I am on my own. However, if we move to the team list, we do have someone coming up in a T55A. I do believe it was the one in the BMP2 in the Object 906. He is now in a T55, coming in to support me. However, I hear an engine coming from my front right, and so I prepare to take this enemy on head on. It's the M48, and here he comes. However, he notices me round the corner. He doesn't come rushing straight round, and he hides there round the corner. So now it is a stalemate. Who's going to come out first? However, I have one advantage. He doesn't. I have a lot of armour, and I know that I can take his shot if I side scrape correctly round the corner. And so at this point, we're still just waiting for the other person to come out, but I realise he's not going to come out. I'm going to have to make the first move. And so, I'm prepared to side scrape round the corner. The Strix 103 has the T55 to deal with. Now the M48 knows what I'm doing. He keeps backing up trying to avoid it, but you can only avoid it for so long. The M48 fires a heat round. I fire at him as well. The heat round is bounced off the front of the hull thanks to the fantastic armor protection that this tank has. However, his armor is not sufficient enough to bounce the 130mm that this tank possesses. And there's an enemy Gepard. I noticed him at the last second. The game is about to end, and so I decide to rush straight at him. Just pure rush. My tank has the speed to do it. However, I look around the corner. I didn't know it was a Gepard, you see, so I was being a bit cautious. As soon as I realised it's a Gepard, though, I go full on head first charge straight into him and take him out, and that's our 7th kill in this game. And the game is finished, and we have won. Against double the number, double the odds, we win. And that right there is the Object 279 in all of its glory. I have shown a game where I was able to get rapid kills with the 130mm that this tank possesses, and I do believe that that game as well showed the tank's great mobility when it's fully upgraded, and its great armor protection when it works. It's quite troll. I think I might have mentioned it in the stat card review and the armor review and all that at the beginning. The armor is quite troll. It works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't, but in that game you got to see it working, and when it works it is fantastic. And so I do hope you enjoyed this video and this review on the Object 279. And to be quite honest, what I will say now is this: when it's stock, you will probably hate the tank, most likely, because it can be frustrating when it's stock. But when it is fully upgraded, when you have that engine upgrades, when you have the engine upgrades, the ESS, the turret rotation speed, the elevation gun mechanism, all that good stuff, when you have all the modifications on this tank is a joy to play. It is fantastic. And so, I do hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and if you do subscribe, be sure to click the bell icon thing, because my uploads can be quite infrequent. I do plan to have on Wednesdays War Thunder content, and on Saturdays it'll probably be some other content like that, like my Metro playthrough that I still need to keep. I need to finish all that because I've still got the rest of Metro 2033 to do, and then Last Light, and then I've got Exodus after that. But I think that's pretty much it for the Object 279 review. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.